Have you ever heard someone say, "I don't understand, I'm a mother, I'm a father, but I simply can't love my child the way I should"? Or maybe you've seen children being rejected by their own parents for no apparent reason. On the surface, it seems unexplainable. But spirituality has an answer that goes far beyond the material world. According to Spiritist doctrine, no relationship is by chance. Many times, parents and children are souls who have already faced each other in other lives, not as family, but as enemies. Souls that hurt each other, betrayed each other, that caused deep pain to one another. And now, in this life, God, in His infinite wisdom, allows a reunion within the home, in the sacred bond of family, so that something may happen that neither time nor pride could heal: forgiveness. But forgiveness doesn't always happen right away. Many of these souls reincarnate together with a mission of reconciling, but they bring intense emotional baggage, wounds rooted in the spirit, which are reflected in the present as coldness, rejection, or even hatred without rational explanation. Imagine, for example, a father who rejects his child from birth. Science may try to explain it through trauma, hormones, or imbalance, but spiritually, that child may have been a cruel oppressor in the past, or may have caused a father's suffering in another existence. Now, they return to live together to redefine this bond. But without awareness of it, natural love might not arise. The soul recognizes, but the heart has not yet forgiven. These relationships are like spiritual classrooms, where the main lesson is unconditional love. And if it's not learned in this life, the cycle repeats until forgiveness is complete and true love blossoms, free from the ties of the past. Therefore, when we see parents who cannot love their children, we must look with compassion and spiritual understanding. Many times, love is not what's missing. What's missing is healing of the soul. Before reincarnating, the spirit chooses a journey it needs to live. And among the noblest and also most challenging missions is that of being a father or mother. But contrary to what many think, motherhood and fatherhood are not guarantees of love. They are spiritual commitments made based on responsibility and the purpose of evolution. Not everyone is ready to fulfill them with an awakened heart. Imagine a soul that, before being born, accepts to receive as a child a spirit that needs shelter, protection, and healing. This mission is approved in the spiritual plane. But upon reincarnating, that soul encounters the harshness of material life. It gets lost in excess, in ego desires, in frustrations and childhood traumas. And what was meant to be a relationship of healing becomes a source of pain and abandonment. Spirituality teaches us that parenthood is a choice, not just a biological accident. It is a chance to repay, to care, to learn the purest and most selfless love. But when the spirit is disconnected from its essence, it forgets its purpose. It begins to see the child as a burden, an obligation, or even as a threat to its freedom. And this is how many parents fail. Not because they are evil by nature, but because they have strayed from their mission. Love does not blossom because it was suffocated by pride, fear, the absence of self-knowledge, and the pain of the rejected child. It also has a role. It is often a strong spirit who accepted this challenge in order to grow, become stronger, and break cycles of abandonment from other lives. In this scenario, what appears to be lack of love is actually a spiritual calling unanswered, a poorly fulfilled mission that will need, sooner or later, to be reviewed, repaired, reincarnated, because a father's and mother's love is indeed one of the most beautiful expressions of the soul. But it only manifests fully when the spirit is ready to love beyond ego and remember why it chose to be here. Have you ever witnessed that relationship where the child is sensitive, loving, spiritual, but the parents are cold, aggressive, or completely disconnected from emotional connection? Often we judge from the outside. How can they be so harsh with such a special child? But from a spiritual perspective, there is an explanation that goes far beyond human appearance and behavior. Not all incarnated souls are on the same evolutionary level. Some have walked far, awakened their consciousness, expanded their inner light. Others are still stuck in the most basic instincts: pride, selfishness, attachment to material things. And when these souls in such different stages meet within the same family, living together can become a field of vibrational tension. It's as if the frequencies don't match. One wants to fly, the other crawls. One seeks peace, the other lives an inner war. In the case of parents who cannot love their children, there may be an unconscious resistance to that child's light. Yes, light bothers those who live in darkness. A child who carries a high vibration can make a father or mother who is not yet spiritually awakened feel uncomfortable. And this discomfort, without understanding, turns into rejection, criticism, or coldness. But why does God allow this? Because family is the most intense school of evolution. And many times, this contrast of vibrations is exactly what provokes growth on both sides. The child learns to forgive, to understand, to not expect love from where it does not yet exist. And the father or mother, even if it takes a lifetime, may one day be touched by the unconditional love of that more evolved spirit. These relationships are like spiritual mirrors. They reflect what still needs to be healed, developed, and freed. And even if love does not manifest today, the seeds are being planted. Because in eternity, time is not measured by years, but by awakened consciousness. Not all lack of love is born from the person's heart. Sometimes, what we see as coldness, rejection, or even cruelty from a father or mother to their child is actually the result of an invisible, subtle, yet powerful spiritual influence. From a spiritist view, we know that there are spirits who still vibrate with anger, resentment, and a desire for revenge. They are souls who remain attached to earth, without light, feeding on negative emotions and taking advantage of the emotional weaknesses of the incarnated. These spirits, called obsessors, draw near to people who are energetically vulnerable, parents who are hurt, unbalanced, or carry unresolved emotional pain. And it is in this weakened field that they settle in like silent shadows, influencing thoughts, emotions, and actions. Imagine a father who has every reason to love his child. But day by day, he starts to feel growing discomfort, unexplained attachment, an impulse of aggression that seems to come out of nowhere. Behind this, there may be the constant influence of an obsessing spirit, whispering into the spiritual ear words of contempt, anger, and denial. And why? Because sometimes that family nucleus carries debts from the past, and the obsessor is a soul linked to that cycle of pain. Other times, it is simply a suffering spirit that finds fertile ground there to spread more pain. Spiritual obsession is not a punishment. It is often a call to awakening, so that the father or mother seeks help, reconnects with spirituality, transforms their vibration, and breaks the invisible influence that separates them from love. And the child? They also have a spiritual role in this story. Often, it is a strong soul who accepted to reincarnate under that negative field to transmute family karma with light and compassion. That is why we should never look at a troubled family relationship with judgment. Many times, it's not the father rejecting, it's the obsessing spirit manipulating. And where there is no prayer, no vigilance, no spiritual understanding, love can be suffocated. But the good news is, true love, coming from the soul, is always stronger than any shadow. And with faith, spiritual treatment, blessings, gospel at home, and prayer, that light shines again. Not every father who doesn't love, stop loving. Not every mother who rejects is incapable of love. Sometimes the love is there, trapped, silent, asleep, covered by layers of pain, pride, trauma, and fear accumulated over many existences. From the spiritist view, love is the essence of every immortal spirit. Even the one who errs, who distances himself from the light, carries within a divine spark the capacity to love, forgive, embrace, rebuild. But that spark may be hidden, like a seed buried in dry, hard soil. How many fathers and mothers don't know how to love because they were never loved? How many were taught that affection is weakness, that tenderness is unnecessary, that silence is worth more than I love you? They carry deep wounds from childhood, or even from other lives, where they were abandoned, betrayed, or rejected. And so, not knowing how to access their own love, they can't offer the love their children need. But that doesn't mean the love doesn't exist. It only means it's asleep. And how do you awaken a sleeping love? With time, connection, patience, prayer, and most of all, with forgiveness. Because it is a forgiveness of the other and of oneself that dissolves emotional walls that prevent the feeling from blossoming. It is a compassionate gaze, the gentle touch, the welcoming word that begins to crack the shell of the heart until one day, it beats again with true love. Sometimes, this awakening happens late, after many years. Sometimes, only after disincarnation. But even so, it happens, because no true love is ever lost. It only waits for the right time to bloom. In the mission of fatherhood and motherhood, the awakening of love is one of the most beautiful trials a soul can experience. And if today there is still no love, there may be healing tomorrow, because the eternal spirit is made of light, and love is its purest language. If you enjoyed today's video, subscribe, leave your like, and share it with people you feel in your heart need this message, this content. See you in our next meeting. Thank you,